Every single day, millions of people win fortunes. Every single day, millions of people lose everything. And most of them have no idea how the game actually works, or who invented it, or why. But here's the thing. This game did not start on Wall Street. It did not start with banks or governments or billionaires. It started with a group of terrified merchants, a dangerous sea, and one desperate idea that changed the entire world forever. This is that story. The world in 1580. To understand the stock market, we need to go back to 1580, and the world is a very scary place. Spain just did something nobody expected. They took over Portugal in one single move. Just like that, two of the most powerful empires in the entire world merged under one crown. Together, they controlled Asia, Africa, the Americas, the seas, everything. And the Dutch were absolutely terrified. They were technically part of Spain at the time, fighting for their independence, and now their enemy just doubled in size overnight. Fighting Spain with weapons alone was impossible, so they did something nobody had ever done before. They built a completely different kind of weapon: money. The desperate idea. Here's the problem. Sending a ship to Asia to trade spices was extraordinarily expensive. The journey took 2 years. Storms could destroy everything. Pirates could attack. Disease could kill the entire crew. And if the ship never came back, every single coin invested, gone forever. No single merchant could afford to take that risk alone. So in 1602, 7 desperate Dutch trading companies did something revolutionary. They merged into one single massive company, the VOC, the Dutch East India Company. But here's where it gets interesting. They needed money. A lot of money, more than any merchant or king could provide alone. So they came up with an idea that had never existed before in human history. They asked ordinary people for money, not as a loan, not as a donation, as a share. You give us money, you own a piece of this company. We make profit, you make profit. We lose, you lose. Simple, terrifying, genius. And ordinary Dutch citizens said yes, thousands of them. Bakers, teachers, farmers, regular people investing their savings into this company. And what they created was not just a trading company. It was something the world had never seen before. The VOC had its own armed ships, its own private armies, its own forts across Asia and Africa. It could start wars, sign peace treaties, build prisons, execute people. It was not just a company, it was basically a country with shareholders. And at its peak, the VOC was worth something almost impossible to understand. Take Apple, take Microsoft, take Amazon, take Saudi Aramco. Combine every single dollar of their value, you still would not reach the value of the VOC at its peak. Let that sink in. The birth of the stock exchange. But now a new problem appeared. People owned shares in the VOC, but what if they needed to sell them? What if you needed money urgently? What if you were nervous about pirates destroying everything? So merchants started gathering in a specific courtyard in Amsterdam, every single day buying and selling their shares. One person selling, another person buying. A price agreed between them. No computers, no screens, no phones, just people, shouting prices at each other in a courtyard. And just like that, the world's very first stock exchange was born, right there in Amsterdam in 1602. Sound familiar? Because that is still exactly how it works today, just with computers instead of shouting. The world copies the idea. The Dutch were getting rich, and the rest of the world was watching very carefully. England copied the idea. The London Stock Exchange was born. America copied the idea. The New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street was born. Country after country after country, all copying the same desperate idea from those 7 scared Dutch merchants. And something fundamental about the world had changed forever. For thousands of years, wealth meant land. It meant titles. It meant being born into the right family. But now, wealth could be created by anyone. A baker in Amsterdam, a farmer in London, a trader in New York. Anyone could own a piece of a company. Anyone could profit. The entire idea of money and power had been completely reinvented. The crashes. But with the greatest financial invention in history came the greatest financial disasters in history. In 1929, the American stock market collapsed completely. Billions of dollars wiped out in days. Banks closed overnight. People who had invested their entire life savings lost everything in a single week. It triggered the Great Depression, the worst economic catastrophe in modern history. Millions unemployed, families destroyed, countries brought to their knees. Then, in 2008, it happened again. Banks had been making catastrophically bad decisions for years. When it finally collapsed, the entire global economy nearly went with it. Millions of people lost their homes, their jobs, their savings, overnight. And then 2020, COVID hit the world. The stock market dropped 34% in just 33 days, the fastest crash in all history. But then something completely unexpected happened. It recovered fully in just 6 months, faster than anyone thought possible, because the system those Dutch merchants built 400 years ago turned out to be almost impossible to destroy. So, next time you hear the word stock market on the news or see numbers going up and down on a screen, remember where it all started. Not on Wall Street, not in a bank, not in a government building. In a courtyard, with 7 terrified merchants who had no choice but to trust each other. They needed money, they needed people to believe in them, so they invented a system where everyone could share the risk and everyone could share the reward. From a courtyard in Amsterdam to your smartphone screen, the stock market is really just humanity's greatest act of trust. And that story is still being written every single day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories about history. See you in the next one.